This is your complete travel guide to the amazing city of Amsterdam. I'll show you everything, from the world-famous attractions, getting to and from the airport, using the transportation network, where to find the best food, and how to have the most amazing trip to one of the most famous capital cities on Earth. Welcome to Amsterdam, the city of canals, culture, and an unforgettable nightlife. It's an awesome place, but it's quite an expansive city, and you can easily get lost and waste your precious time here in the Dutch capital. This guide will tell you everything you need to know before you go, and I'll make sure you have the best time of your life. Let's start by having a look at a map of Amsterdam, and you'll notice that in the heart of it all is Amsterdam Centraal, the main transport station. Everything you want to visit kind of radiates from here. To the north, you've got incredibly modern museums and fun attractions. To the east, you've got zoos, botanical gardens, and places that you can explore Amsterdam's Jewish history. To the south, you'll find the biggest park space and the city's most famous museums. And here in the central area, you'll find everything that you stereotypically think of when it comes to Amsterdam. Canals, quote-unquote coffee shops, and, well, that. I'll also show you attractions outside of the main central area, how to get to and from the airport, and how to navigate the extensive public transport network later in the video. Long story short, buy a ticket from a machine, tap in, get on, and then tap out. It's literally that simple, but I'll explain all of this in greater detail at the end. I'll also give you advice on buying the iAmsterdam City Card. This is your one ticket to almost every attraction in the city and provides free public transportation for the duration of the card. So now that you're at Centraal Station, let's walk down the street. It's relatively modern, with lots of shops and restaurants. Admittedly, it's no different to any other shopping street that's in your hometown. But towards the middle of it all, you'll find the Royal Palace of Amsterdam. This is the Dutch version of Buckingham Palace, and once you step foot inside, it definitely shows. Take a self-guided tour and you'll learn all about Dutch royalty and the history of this fabulous place. As you'd expect from any royal palace, there's a plethora of ornately decorated rooms, royal regalia, exquisite ballrooms, crystal chandeliers, fancy bedchambers, and you'll even get to step foot onto the most famous balcony in all of the Netherlands. Yes, this is the balcony where the royal family greets members of the public for official functions, which is kind of awesome. A self-guided tour around the Royal Palace definitely comes highly recommended. But once you look out of the window, you'll see Dam Square. This is the main public square here in the central part of Amsterdam. And currently, it seems to be home to a Free Palestine protest right now. These guys look deadly serious, so let's leave them alone for now and explore the attraction that's right next door. This is the Nieuwe Kerk, aka the New Church. Currently under reconstruction, this is one of the 4 important churches here in Amsterdam. However, when you go inside, it doesn't really resemble a church anymore. It looks more like a museum piece, which feels a little bit of a shame given that it's the royal church. Even though it has tombs and stained glass windows etc., for some reason it also has Twister and a variety of parlour games to keep kids and bored tourists entertained just in case they lose interest. Me personally, I like the history of this place, but it's probably not the most enthralling church I've ever been to. So now that the Free Palestine guys have gone somewhere else, here in Dam Square, you'll find a nice laid-back atmosphere, bars, restaurants, street performers, and plenty of people feeding flying rats. Walk west of the Royal Palace, and you'll eventually get to this towering church right here, the Westerkerk, aka the West Church. It's incredibly plain inside. It's very white, but hey, it at least resembles a church, not like the other one we've just been to. When it's open, You can also climb the bell tower for amazing views over the city. Literally across the street is one of the most famous attractions in all of Amsterdam, the Anne Frank house. This is famously the house where Anne Frank hid from the Nazis and wrote her famous diary. Now, I've got to warn you that tickets for this are sold out weeks in advance. If you are interested, you'll need to book this pretty early. That said, I thought it was pretty terrible. It's not my favourite attraction, mainly because it contains a whole bunch of nothing. Please only see this if you're interested in Nazi history or Anne Frank. Otherwise, don't waste your time or money. For a more interesting church, head back towards Amsterdam Centraal Station and you'll find St. Nicholas Basilica. Probably the most beautiful out of the four main churches. It's definitely a lot more colourful than the others, mainly because it's Catholic. They sure do love their gold. And you'll probably feel a lot more at home here than the other two churches I just mentioned. The last of the four important churches is literally down the street. This is the Oude Kerk, aka the Old Church, the oldest building in all of Amsterdam. Once again, it's very empty and plain, more of a museum piece nowadays, but as the name implies, it's very old indeed. I particularly like the wooden ceilings, the stained glass windows, which you can look at up close, and some of the tombs of the former royalty and nobility that are buried here. It's pretty interesting for a church that has nothing in it. But if you're not interested in churches at all, you could probably avoid all of these. Hey, I'm just being honest. The most surprising thing about the Oude Kerk is that it's located inside of the red light district. It seems kind of odd, but Amsterdam's red light district is world famous, and it encompasses the area around the Oude Kerk and these streets right here. Collectively, this area is known as De Valen. During the day, it looks no different to any other canal that you've already been to. There's a couple of indications that you might be in the red light district, namely all the intimate themed things. But in general, it looks no different to any other Amsterdam street. Until it turns into night. Once darkness falls, the neon lights shine bright and it becomes the beating heart of Amsterdam and the centre of the city's exciting nightlife, with lots of bars, themed shows, pubs and restaurants. It's the place to have fun when you're here in Amsterdam. Once you've had your evening of fun, it's time to hit the streets again. Most of the stereotypical views of Amsterdam are right here along the 9 streets. Charming canals, boutique shops, vintage treasures and quirky cafes. If it's a nice day or evening, having a relaxing stroll along the canals can be quite a picturesque experience. But if you're lazy like me, the best way to explore the 9 streets is to take a canal cruise. Especially if you're here with your significant other, touring the canals on boats with lots of tulips on them is quite the romantic experience. This definitely comes recommended, and it gives you a tour of all the main attractions here in Amsterdam by water. If you come at sunset, like it is right now, you'll have a magical time. Around the 9 streets, you'll find various places just to hang out and chill. There's also Begijnhof, a hidden courtyard surrounded by old homes. Very picturesque, and once again has a nice selection of bars that you can hang out in. But walk across the way and you'll find Bloemenmarkt, the world's only floating flower market. If you're interested in flowers, you can buy a whole bunch of tulips, bulbs and everything floral in this flower market on the water. It's colourful, smells amazing, and it's very stereotypically Dutch. Swing by Rembrandtplein, another lively square filled with bars and restaurants, and there's a giant statue of the artist Rembrandt himself. A lot of guides will tell you to go to the Magere bridge. It's largely uninspiring, so don't bother. And if you are interested, the National Opera House is literally right next door. Amsterdam is full of great food places, and you don't have to look far to find some amazing food. The most convenient food outlet that you'll find everywhere throughout the city is a chain snack bar called FEBO. When you develop the munchies, for some reason, simply go to a self-service window, put in some coins or use your contactless credit card, and once you've paid, literally open the window to access delicious hot junk food. It's a cheap way of trying Dutch classic cuisine, such as kroketten, bitterballen, and whilst we're talking about food that you can find everywhere, you'll also find FEBO frites. Honestly, the best fries I've ever had in my life. Be sure to also try poffertjes, which are mini Dutch pancakes. Yum! And don't forget to buy some freshly made hot caramel stroopwafels. For the foodies amongst you that want to try the best that Amsterdam has to offer, you'll need to go to the west side of the city to a place called De Hallen. It's a hipster-like food hall inside a converted tram depot. And it's at this place where you can try literally everything that takes your fancy. Whether it's oysters, traditional Dutch cuisine, pseudo-American food, Asian fusion, or any other mad concoction of flavours. De Hallen has it all, and it's a nice atmosphere to enjoy strange food in. Let's head to the south side of the city, and the first thing you'll find is the area of the Pijp. It's a trendy neighbourhood filled with street art, cool cafes, and right in the middle you'll find the Cuyp market. This is the city's biggest street market, where you can shop for literally anything in an open air environment. You'll also find amazing street food and the best stroopwafels in all of Amsterdam. It's right here at Rudy's, and there's always a queue to buy them, but they are definitely worth the money and the wait. Now that you're full of hot sugar, it's time to make a stop next door to Europe's most famous brewery, Heineken. It's parts museum, parts brewery tour, and it's an incredibly popular attraction. And, as with any brewery experience, they tell you how their beer is made, what ingredients they use, how they make their delicious beer, the painstaking processes, yada yada yada, etc. But the difference is that it's a highly immersive digital experience. And I'm pretty sure that all of these video projections and flashing images are some kind of subliminal advertising / brainwashing to make you want to drink Heineken for the rest of your life. There are places where you can customize your own beer bottles, have a look at some Heineken sponsored merch, and do green screen content of yourself on a bike singing in Dutch, kind of like this. At the end of the tour, you get 2 free beers, which is nice, but I urge you to pay the extra €5 to access the rooftop bar, where you get a lovely view of Amsterdam from up here, along with more free beers. Hopefully when you come, it'll be nicer weather and not overcast like it is right now. But overall, if you are a beer drinker, you'll love it here at the Heineken Experience. A short walk away, you'll find the largest and most famous museum in the entire city. This is the Rijksmuseum. Like the Louvre in Paris or the National Gallery in London, the Rijksmuseum is one of the most famous art galleries in the world. The building itself is absolutely gorgeous, and inside, it's a massive museum. So massive in fact that if you are into art, you can literally spend the entire day in here. If you're just mildly curious, you could probably see the main bits in about an hour. The highlights at the Rijksmuseum are Rembrandt's most famous painting, The Night Watch, currently under massive reconstruction right now, Vincent van Gogh's self-portrait, there's always a crowd in front of this one, and The Merry Family, where they all look drunk. These are probably the 3 most famous paintings, but there are literally thousands of other things to look at in here. If you are into culture, you definitely won't be disappointed. Please note, it can be quite overwhelming, so take your time and enjoy the culture at your own pace. Around here, you've also got the Moco Museum, which is a museum of contemporary street art, a lot of Banksy stuff, and edgy installations. Surprisingly, I actually enjoyed this one, mainly because I'm the Time Man of the Year, but I know this isn't everyone's cup of tea. This girl is struggling to get her leg over for some reason. The Diamond Museum is literally across the street. Okay, it's a little bit basic, but surprisingly, I enjoyed this one too. The Stedelijk Museum, a typical modern art museum. Some pieces were okay, I particularly like all the Picassos. Some pieces will make you wonder what the point of it is, and some artists really need to be shot because that's not art. It's literally the content of my house in a pile in the middle of a room. I could have done that for free. The other famously popular museum around here is the Van Gogh Museum. This houses some of the most famous Van Gogh paintings in the world, the most notable of which is the sunflowers. Tickets for this are sold out weeks in advance, so I urge you to book tickets for this early if you are interested. And if you're into classical music, check out the city's iconic concert hall just outside. If you've had enough about me talking about museums, I don't blame you because there's a lot around here. But you'll be happy to know that the largest park space in the city is right next door. This is WONDR Park, and the best way I can describe this is that it seems to be Amsterdam's outdoor gym. There's miles and miles of running and cycling tracks in and amongst acres of lovely parkland. And everyone seems to be incredibly fit running and cycling through here. It's definitely a great way to get out of the hustle and bustle of the city, whilst enjoying some nice greenery, fountains, lakes, trees, and that sort of thing. I think you'll have a great time if you decide to hire a bike and spend an afternoon in the sunshine here. Let's head on to the east side of the city now, where you'll find another attractive green space, but this time full of animals. This is Artis Zoo, one of the most famous zoos in Europe. It's beautiful, it's clean, the animals are actually quite entertaining, and it does seem that the animals have a lot more space to roam around in than your average zoo. These two chimps are experiencing more love than I ever have. I'm certainly very jealous. You'll enjoy walking around some of the exhibits where birds and butterflies fly all around you, elephants within touching distance, jaguars attacking each other, and any strange animal that you can think of. It all seems to be very interactive, and I highly recommend visiting here, especially if you're bringing your kids. Outside of Artis Zoo is one of the strangest exhibits you'll ever come across. This is Micropia, the world's first and only zoo for microbes. Yes, these microscopic creatures are literally everywhere, and it's interesting to learn some scientific facts about microbes and how they live on your body and everything around us. It's pretty creepy to know that all of this is crawling around inside us, but I suppose that's the whole point. It's weird, but I think you'll like it in a curious kind of way. There's another museum next door, the Groot Museum, not this Groot of course. Even though it's a gorgeous building, the exhibits, not so fantastic. I'd avoid this one if I were you. If you're into Jewish history, the National Holocaust Museum is nearby. But fair warning, only go inside here if you're not easily upset, because it's pretty gory and graphic in places. The Jewish Museum and the synagogue are a few streets away. And check out Hortus Botanicus, one of the oldest botanical gardens in Europe. If you're into flowers or manicured English-style gardens, it's definitely worth a few bucks to explore pristinely manicured green spaces and colourful plants and flowers. If you have time, go to the north side of the city. For that, you'll need to take the free of charge ferry just behind Centraal Station. Yep, it's totally free and you don't need a ticket. You literally just jump on the boat and wait for it to take you across the water. As soon as you cross over into the north side, you'll come across the Edam Lookout Tower. Part entertainment space, part observation deck. Pay for your tickets to get to the top, where you'll be greeted with this cool rooftop terrace. Complete with interesting photo opportunities, you'll get to ride on this big giant red horse, and, if you want to, literally swing off the top of the building. That's right, this is Europe's tallest swing, and you can pay to swing over the side of the building. I did this, it was okay. It probably sounds a lot more exciting than it actually is, but whilst you're up here, you might as well do it. Arguably, the best views are actually from the inside, where you've got some amazing photo opportunities, glass floors so that you can look straight down, and you even get to eat and drink in a fancy bar and restaurant. There's also a 5D experience inside. Boy, they look excited. So even if it's terrible weather outside, it's still worth visiting. Next door, you'll find This is Holland, an interactive 5D indoor roller coaster ride that will both educate and show you the beauty of the country of the Netherlands. I fell in love with this girl, too bad she's a figment of my imagination. If you're a film buff, the iFilm Institute is across the street. It's part film and television museum, where you can learn all about the history of media, and it also acts as the de facto cinema for the city of Amsterdam. If you do enjoy watching independent films, this is the place to go. But even if you choose not to go inside to the paid museum or the cinema, the bar and restaurant on the top floor is worth a visit on its own. You can access this for free, and it comes with stunning views over the water. The most bizarre place in all of Amsterdam is the NXT Museum. It's got some incredibly strange exhibits, hallucinogenic digital artwork, and things that you'll only see in your nightmares. But I suppose if you're smoking the ganja and you want a laid-back, out-of-body experience, I can imagine this would work quite well. The most fun thing in all of Amsterdam, if you're an Instagrammer or an indolent man-child like me, is the WONDR Experience. It's basically a place for childish adults. There's many Instagrammable photo opportunities with colourful flowers, giant teddy bears, padded cells, mirror mazes, flowers as far as the eye can see. I particularly enjoy dressing up as a woman. Gosh, I feel so beautiful. You can have a sing-along in your own retro disco booth, jump on bouncy castles, slide into pools full of marshmallows, dive into giant ball pits whilst assaulting complete strangers with said balls, hanging out with SpongeBob and friends. If you're an adult who wants to be a child again, this is the most fun you'll have doing it. And with every stop, there's a digital camera that takes pictures of you and sends them to you for free so that you can put them on your socials. It's easily the most fun museum in all of Amsterdam. But sometimes you have to be an adult and let your kids be kids, which is why you should take them to the Nemo Science Museum, an interactive science and technology museum where you can encase your child in giant bubbles, electrocute your child, blast your child with radiation, or force your child into manual labour. They'll have the time of their lives here whilst being thoroughly educated with interactive exhibits and, is this what I'm going to look like when I'm old? How depressing. Across the water, you'll find the National Maritime Museum. If you're a fan of maritime history or model boats, you'll have fun in the indoor exhibitions, but the highlights of a visit to the National Maritime Museum is to visit the Royal Barge. It's kind of like the Dutch version of the Gold State Coach, except that it's a boat. And the biggest highlight of all is the old ship Amsterdam itself. This colonial galleon has been fully restored, and you can find out what life was like back in the day when the Dutch were out colonising the entire world. It's actually cool to be on such a historic ship, and you'll really love it on here. Some of the other attractions I did that I'll mention briefly include Rembrandt's house, where you can see where the famous artist lived and worked. It's pretty interesting if you're into classical art or the old Dutch masters. And the House of Hassan Diamond Factory. Amsterdam is the world capital of diamond trade, and it's awesome to see how each jewel is made. Very popular with my fellow Chinese tourists who tend to buy a lot of this stuff. It's definitely worth a tour if you like jewellery, diamonds and watches. That covers literally everything you want to see, do, eat and experience in the city of Amsterdam. But there's a few attractions outside of the city that I recommend that you visit if you have the time. The first is the Johan Cruyff Arena. This retractable roof stadium is home to Ajax FC, the most famous and successful football team in the Netherlands. If you get a chance to watch a game, it comes recommended, or if they're not playing, go on a stadium tour instead. Watch my other video here to see what that's like. Over to the east, you'll find Amsterdam Castle. Located way in the wilderness, in and amongst the countryside, with the windmills and the water, you'll find this picturesque fairy tale castle. It's great for history buffs, and you get some amazing photo and video opportunities here. And finally, if you like flowers and you want to visit the world's most famous and beautiful spring garden, head on over to the Kerk. which runs from mid-March to mid-May every year. If you want to see millions of blooming tulips in the most gorgeous gardens in the world, explore Dutch scenery in and amongst the rainbow of flowers, and have an amazing time in the warm sunshine, the Keukenhof is definitely for you. Once again, I've made a separate video about it right here because there's a lot that you need to know before you go. I know that was a long-winded explanation as to all the attractions that you'll find here in Amsterdam, but that's just how much there is to do here, and I highly urge you to add this to your own ultimate bucket list. Book your trip now, and I guarantee you won't be disappointed. Okay Nin, I'm sold. What do I need to do? Well, you need to come here to Amsterdam. You'll most likely fly into Amsterdam Schiphol Airport, which is one of the nicest airports I've had the pleasure of flying into. The easiest way to get from Schiphol to Amsterdam Centraal is to literally walk downstairs to the train station. When you're here, find one of these yellow ticket machines, select your language, and follow the instructions on the screen. Once you've paid for it, it will spit you out this paper ticket. To use it, simply tap it into one of these validators before you enter the platform. It should be pretty obvious which platform to go to, as there are giant signs telling you where the train is going. Jump on the train, and after 20 minutes, you'll arrive at Amsterdam Centraal Station. From Centraal, you can literally get to anywhere else in the Netherlands from here. I highly recommend that you buy an all-inclusive travel pass for the number of days that you're here, following the exact same procedure as before. But if you're looking to do every attraction in the city, I recommend that you buy the iAmsterdam City card instead of a travel pass. This one card will allow you free or discounted entry to most of the city's attractions, and provides free public transportation for the duration of the card. Because I did literally everything in the city, I found that it saved me a hell of a lot of money. You can buy this online through their official app, or at their offices at Amsterdam Centraal Station. The price depends on the number of days that you want to use it for, and you can also travel to and from the airport with this thing. To use this card at any attraction, simply show them the barcode on the card and they let you in. To use this card for public transport, tap in to get in and tap out to exit as you did before. I recommend downloading the iAmsterdam City Card app, as the interactive map will show you all the attractions relative to your current position, so it'll get you there quicker and it'll save you time as well. Whether you buy a travel pass or an iAmsterdam City Card, your public transportation ticket includes access to the underground metro, the on-street trams, the local trains and the buses. And once again, you just tap in when you get on and tap out when you exit. It's literally that easy. Alternatively, Amsterdam is the world's most famous cyclable city, and you can hire bikes and use the dedicated bike lanes which you'll find in red all throughout the city. The cost? Well, due to recent inflation, Amsterdam is not the reasonably priced city that it used to be. You'll find the most expensive things to be food and drink prices, especially when you're eating out. Attraction prices are okay. If you're looking for a place to stay, I highly recommend staying as close to Amsterdam Centraal as possible. The closer you are to here, the easier it is to get to everywhere else in the city, as Centraal seems to be the centre of the spider web that is the Amsterdam transport network. Is there anything else I need to know? Yes. Whilst Amsterdam is an incredibly relaxed and chill city, there's quite a lot of things that you can't do here. You can be arrested and fined for drunken behaviour, drinking alcohol in the street, smoking in the street, peeing in the canals, or taking photos of workers. And there are signs everywhere that denote this, so you have been warned. To curb public drunkenness, there are bylaws that prevent alcohol being sold at certain times of the day or week. The currency here in the Netherlands is the euro. Have a mixture of cash and contactless credit cards on you, as you will need both methods of payment. Some places only take card, and some places only take cash, so be prepared. As this is the most famous cyclable city in the world, bike lanes are everywhere, and cyclists have the right of way. Do not walk along the red cycle paths and always be mindful of your surroundings to prevent being hit by a cyclist. Like most European countries, if you buy anything in a glass or steel container, you will be charged a small deposit fee. You'll get this back once you recycle it in one of the many recycling machines across the city, usually located in supermarkets. The spoken language here is Dutch, but people here in the Netherlands learn Dutch and English at school. So if you are a native English speaker, you won't have to learn a single word of Dutch because everyone is bilingual here. You'll need to book way in advance for the most popular attractions, such as the Anne Frank House, the Rijksmuseum, and the Van Gogh Museum. And finally, check out my other attraction and city guides on my channel if you are tying this up with other European destinations. Thanks for sticking by me through this city guide. I know it was long, but hopefully you found this incredibly helpful in planning your amazing trip here to Amsterdam. If you have enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, share and subscribe. Ask me questions in the comment section below, and if you've got any other suggestions, tweet me and I'll make it happen. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.
This is nice in here, huh?
Zeg de tulpen uit Amsterdam.